Politics is an old man's game. And as someone who is not old or a man, it fascinates me. Granted, the only firsthand experience I've had with politics is in 5th grade student council, but through my endless fascination with politics, I've become less interested in who wins and more interested in how they win. Take, for example, the 2016 US presidential election. Now, don't worry, I'm not dumb enough to tell you my personal opinions on everything that went down, but just in case you've been living under a rock, Donald Trump won. Not by simple majority, but by electoral vote. But I told you we'd be focusing on the how, so let's just ignore that for now. Let's say if you were of legal age and registered to vote, but didn't, they marked that on a ballot as one vote for this I didn't vote candidate. And you've got your red for Republicans and blue for Democrats, right? Let's say I didn't vote was tan. In 2016, I didn't vote would have won in a landslide. I got this map on the obviously well-named website Brilliant Maps, based off of an atlas filled with ideas just like these. Ideas that no one really talks about. Low voter turnout is an American crisis. The States has one of the lowest voter turnouts of democracies worldwide, but no major news network is going to pull up this map when we talk about what happens in the 2020 election this fall. And I think it becomes even more of an issue when I show you who actually is voting. All the way up there, the smallest chunk, that's my age range, or at least it will be in 2 years. And down here, we have the 60-plus crowd. And thanks to data from the Circle Civic Engagement Group, I can also show you how they voted. Blue voters increase with age 6.5%. Red voters increase 20.5%. And given that Trump was running under red, the Republicans, I'm saying that the 60-plus crowd are the people that won Donald Trump his presidency. This is why politics is an old man's game. But the key is it doesn't have to be. If you take IB psychology, the first thing they teach you about a self-selected population is that it isn't necessarily representative of the whole. I mean, it makes sense. It takes a certain type of person to willingly let people experiment on your brains. And if you think about it, the same logic applies to voting. Only the most passionate will go out on a cold November day and wait in line for hours just to check a box on a ballot. But if you know anything about my age range, you know that we are not short on opinions. We are not short on things that we're passionate about, things that get us excited, things to yell about. 141 million tweets on only the top 5 policy issues that were big in 2016. 141 million aggressively loud and self-righteous opinions. This graph was taken from Twitter's internal data from the first day of 2016 to the 3rd of November, a full 5 days before the votes were counted and released on November 8th, 2016. So they've eliminated any whiny tweets about the results. Why aren't these people voting? My issue with this graph, and why I think you should have an issue with this graph, isn't the Trump one. Love him or hate him, Trump's political influence will come and go just like the 44 presidents before him. My issue with this graph is if 53.9% of young Americans didn't advocate for their opinion when it came to an issue as polarizing as Trump versus Clinton, why would they advocate for themselves when it comes to more subliminal issues whose effects might last for the next 100 years? Why would they vote when it comes to climate change policies? You know who is going to vote when it comes to climate change policies? And in 2060, when there are entire cities underwater and we can't raise our children outside because the pollution is too dangerous for growing lungs, and we are struggling to provide a drop of water for the lower class, when my generation is fighting for a livable future, those people will be dead. We are laying around complaining about how everything in our lives are going downhill, but we lack the agency to do anything about it. But I'm 16. I can't vote. Why should I be standing up here talking to you all about the power of a democracy that I can't even participate in? And while we're on it, I'm sure every one of you has little reasons why you just didn't manage to cast that vote. Maybe you just became of age and you don't know how. Maybe you don't come from a politics family. Maybe you had a nasty cold the day of. I don't know. I'm not one to judge. But even over the course of this TED Talk, you've probably had some pretty visceral reactions towards like Trump or climate change. And you've definitely gotten into a fair few arguments over Twitter or Facebook or at the family dinner table over the holidays. And to me, where you stand on any of these issues is irrelevant. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. That negates the point of democracy. And I've shown you a lot of graphs, and honestly, none of them really matter either. US politicians and Twitter and voter turnout is just a way to represent an endemic problem. What does matter is that we fight for the future that we want so badly. And if you need another example, a lot of people are going to get up on this stage tonight and tell you how you can make your life better. But they're just words. Change requires action. You choose to listen. You choose to think. You choose to feel. Now act. Thank you.